Finally, Martin, 6 days into this manhunt, we have the first bit of footage of Brahim Kaddour-Cherif, also known, according to the Metropolitan Police, by Ibrahim, is known to use variations of his name. The Met say that they were informed of the release shortly after 1 p.m. yesterday and immediately deployed officers to begin a search. He's believed to have links to Tower Hamlets and is also known to frequent the Westminster area. So Martin, keep an eye open. Now, we are also being told by the Metropolitan Police that they are aware of reporting that Sharif is a registered sex offender, and they are now confirming that this is accurate. He was convicted, they say, in November of last year of indecent exposure relating to an incident last March. He was sentenced to an 18-month community order and placed on the sex offenders registry for 5 years as a consequence of that conviction. He was in prison here at HMP Wandsworth, this category B prison, in relation to a conviction for trespassing with intent to steal. Now, we've heard from Commander Paul Trevors, who's overseeing the investigation, this manhunt into Mr. Kaddour-Cherif. Now, Commander Trevors has said it's just over 24 hours since they were informed of Sharif's release. We launched an immediate manhunt and urgent inquiries have been ongoing since. Well, Martin, the Metropolitan Police have also released the extraordinary footage of Brahim Kaddour-Cherif's arrest in September last month, the 9th of September, 2 months ago rather, of this year. It shows the moment he was arrested and also taken into a police custody van. Now, the commander from the Metropolitan Police has said that Sharif has had a 6-day head start, but we are working urgently to close the gap and establish his whereabouts. And I think, Martin, there is some implicit criticism of the prison service in that statement from the commander because, of course, we're being told that the Met were not informed of his early release, that accidental error in his early release, until yesterday, 6 days after it took place. But the commander said, we will continue to use all the means at our disposal. But finally, here it comes, Martin, we are appealing for the public's help to find him. Now, the Justice Secretary, David Lammy, was informed of this case last night, but it has taken until, when did this note come through from the Met? 4:45 p.m. on Wednesday for them to issue this public appeal from the Met with footage of Sharif and also this footage of his arrest in September this year. They've said anyone who sees Sharif is asked not to approach him but to call 999 immediately. Now, Martin, when Hadush Kibatu, the migrant sex offender from Ethiopia, that asylum seeker who was staying at the Bell Hotel in Epping, when he was accidentally released a couple of weeks ago, an error was informed to Essex Police very early on, within 90 minutes or so of his accidental release. And then the Sun newspaper broke that news later on that afternoon, and then the Metropolitan Police, Essex Police and British Transport Police all issuing their public appeals for information, and it was the public who helped identify and led to his arrest nearly 2 weeks ago now. But this is a rather different case because it has taken well over a week since his early release at this prison last week for that public appeal to be issued, because indecent exposure, sexual offence, convicted and given a community order, not a prison sentence, when he was convicted of that last November. Now, the 24-year-old Algerian convict, we're told, having links to the Tower Hamlets area and is also known to frequent Westminster. But after a week, Martin, he could have gone a very long way indeed. And because, of course, the Metropolitan Police were not informed of his release until yesterday, it's a realistic possibility that he could have left the country. We also learnt earlier this afternoon that he is a visa overstayer, with the police, the government sources rather, informing us that he is not an asylum seeker, but rather he entered the country legally on a visit visa in 2019, but had overstayed and an automatic probable overstayer case was created for Mr. Sharif on the 6th of February 2020, so well over 5 years ago, but of course still in the country, has been through the justice system and has escaped, in a sense, the claws of justice again, on the run at the moment. Now, government sources told us earlier that Sharif was in the initial stages of the deportation process, but of course that's unable to progress while he has evaded the state's custody, as he has since he was accidentally released from those gates behind me last Wednesday. And of course, we're also hearing from Surrey Police that another prisoner was accidentally released from this location again on Monday. That was the 35-year-old William Smith, also goes by the name of Billy. He was released by accident, having been sentenced to 45 months in prison for various fraud offences at Croydon Crown Court on the very same day, Martin, that he was then released. He's been described as white, bald and clean-shaven, and Surrey Police have released a mugshot of William Billy Smith. He has links to Woking. He could be anywhere in Surrey, and police have asked people with information to contact them. So 2 large manhunt operations for accidentally released prisoners from this location, this Category B prison behind me, HMP Wandsworth. And the politics of this, Martin, of course, is devastating for this Labour government and for the Justice Secretary, David Lammy in particular, who 2 days after the retrieval of Hadoush Kabatu and that accidental release at HMP Chelmsford was announcing the launch of an independent inquiry into that release and saying that the former head of the National Crime Agency, Dame Lynn Owens, would be leading that probe. He also said that more stringent checks had been introduced following his intervention and his leadership. But since those more stringent checks, Martin, which included a governor having specific oversight of the process, 2 more prisoners at least have accidentally been freed early ahead of their sentences expiring. So a manhunt in London, focusing, we expect, on the Tower Hamlets area, a manhunt in Surrey as well, and David Lammy being informed last night, we know, of this incident involving the Algerian national, but did not confirm to the House when asked earlier by Shadow Defence Secretary James Cartledge. Some criticism coming for the government now, Martin. Could they have been more transparent earlier? Could they have provided more information earlier? Because as was the case with Hadoush Kabatu, the public's involvement is likely to be key in recapturing and rearresting this Algerian sex offender who's on the run.
Johnny Peters is an absolutely staggering catalogue of calamity, incompetence and absurdity, and it's only Wednesday. I wouldn't go anywhere, Johnny Peters. You might get a conga coming out that door behind you in a minute.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Charlie Peters, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on this incredible day. I'm joined in the studio in Westminster now by the former Police and Crime Commissioner for Bedfordshire, and that's Festus Akinbusoy, and also GB News' senior political commentator Nigel Nelson. Festus, let's get to you first. You were watching on there, listening in to Charlie Peters at HMP Wandsworth with a look of astonishment on your face. 2 inmates, 1 nick, 1 week, 2 mistaken releases, and the one that we've been talking about most today, Ibrahim Kaddour-Cherif, 24, a visa overstayer, a registered sex offender on an 18-month community order for exposing himself. This individual, this scumbag, should not even have been in the country.
Correct. I mean, this is disgraceful, and you can understand why people, quite rightly, will be concerned and worried about this. And, you know, if I was the Home Secretary, I'll be saying right now, we are going to stop immediately all planned early releases until we can reassure the public that the system we have for releasing people early is actually fit for purpose. How on earth do you release someone who is a registered sex offender, who let's release them early? But actually, here's quite interesting that some of your listeners might want to be aware of. In the 12 months to March this year, there has been 262 early releases in error. That is nearly double the number for the previous 12 months, which probably coincides with the volume of people being released as part of the government's early release scheme. And I think right now, the government is going to have to do an awful lot of work to reassure the public that the stronger system that they were going to put in place a couple of weeks ago actually is in place and is working.
Well, the so-called stronger system isn't worth the paper it's written on. It's a chocolate teapot.
And as you said, it's only Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what else is going to be released tomorrow that we do not know of yet. But this guy has had over a week now head start on the police. I mean, he could be anywhere for all you know. And desperate prisoners do desperate things. And it would be an absolute albatross around the neck of the government if any of these individuals end up committing a serious crime while they're on the run.
Festus, you can only hope and pray, with some degree of irony, that Brahim Kaddour-Cherif might have cleared himself off back to Algeria. He might have deported himself in a way that the government patently has failed to do, by the way, for over 5 years. He could have simply swanned off anywhere on the planet.
That is correct. But I probably would guess he would still be in the UK at some point, somewhere, rather than in Algeria where he originally came from. But this is a real public safety risk. And we can't keep having this happening again and again and again. And the government keeps expressing their concern and their disgust at what is happening. They are in charge. They need to get a grip of this, and they need to let us know exactly what is happening, what is going wrong, and what they're going to do to fix it.
David Lammy is copping a lot of flack over this one, and perhaps it's unfair. He's earned the nickname Calamity Lammy. Robert Jenrick called him that earlier on. Chris Philp, the shadow Home Secretary, has said that David Lammy was dishonest with Parliament. We've learned this afternoon. David Lammy not only knew about this case, he had a prepared statement to read out about this case before PM. He chose not to do that. Martin, do you think David Lammy has big questions to answer here?
Yeah, and at a time like this, it's just important for people in power to just be honest and transparent. Let the public know what you know, especially when there is no national security risk here. Let us know what you know and let us know what you're doing to fix it. But to be hiding behind any kind of complications or complexities just fuels the sentiment that there is some kind of a cover-up and why that cover-up might be in place. It's not helpful at all.
Festus, I'm going to ask you this question now. It's a difficult question to answer. It's a different question to even talk about. But we've seen now with Hadish Kabatu, foreign sex offender, mistaken release. We've seen now with Brahim Kaddour-Cherif, foreign sex offender, early release. Is this going to happen again? Could this calamity, this chaos, become some new kind of normal?
I bet it will happen again. I'm just not sure if the government has got a grip on this issue. I'm not sure if they fully know what is happening on the ground within the prison system. The prison system itself is overwhelmed in terms of the numbers relative to the staff levels. In fact, at Wandsworth, there was a report published a couple of weeks ago or months ago that found that they did not even know the number of inmates that were at that prison. In some cases, they had only about 100 or so prison officers in place for about 1,000 inmates because people were off sick, they were not available to work. So there were issues there. But it won't surprise me, if I'm honest with you, Martin, that something like this will happen again.
It's a grim warning, and do you know what? I think you're probably right.